I'm a publisher, and one day my daughter Christina asked me to write a novel with her. Well, that day was long ago, and that little girl is now an adult. But our novels live on. The Truth Seekers Mystery Series highlights a homeschool family, the Murphy teens, in an action-adventure novel that is sure to entertain as well as teach creation truths. To get your copy, visit our website at truthseekersmysteryseries.com.
This is a production of the Ultimate Homeschool Radio Network. Welcome to the Vintage Homeschool Moms Show. Your host, Felice Gerwitz, is an author, a publisher, and your radio show host. She will encourage, educate, and inspire you with answers to your most pressing questions from homeschool, marriage, parenting, and much more. Felice loves to equip moms to live a Christian life because every moment counts. Be sure to visit her website at mediaangels.com. And here's your host, Felice Gerwitz.
Hey everyone, and welcome. This is Felice Gerwitz with an episode of Vintage Homeschool Moms, and today we are going to talk about teaching money-saving tips for kids. We're going to go over some key points, and this is episode 403, so you can find the show notes at Vintage Homeschool Moms. And today I have a special buddy on the line, and that is Meredith Curtis. Welcome, Meredith.
Oh, Felice, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk about money-saving tips for teens. I actually wrote an economics book, and we talk about how to be frugal and how to budget and how to save money, and it's really been a neat class to teach. And so I'm really love this topic because I find that, people think, oh, teens won't be interested in money, but they really are, and they really are interested in what life will be like and in the area of money for them in the future. So this is a great topic that teens really enjoy.
And it's something that's really needed. I think I shared with you that I wish I had known more about this. We did have savings, and we did, even growing up, have money for things, but I think it came out of my parents' surplus more so than them budgeting or saving for something. And if they did, I never knew about it. So I would have loved to have this as a kid. So parents, what I'm going to say is, bring your kids along and have them listen to this episode because it's going to have some really good information that they'll want to hear. And then moms and dads, you can go to Powerline Prod, that's POWERLINEPROD.com, which is Meredith, her website. And she's got some great books and products over there. And she and her partner are working on another podcast on this network, and it's going to be called Homeschool Joy. That is upcoming, yes. And when that's ready, we will definitely put that out in the newsletter. And she also has a Finish Well podcast on the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. Well, Meredith, go ahead and share some of these key points for kids. Let us, note some insider scoop. By the way, we did use that economics book and loved it. Economics is not my thing, and I remember even doing another macro and microeconomics, and to me it was like so confusing. But my kids understood it, so that was good. And so your book was, really, I thought, laid out super well and really clear and logical, format. So it's a great book, and we'll have a link to where you can buy that book as well. So go ahead,
and I know that, the economics book is our most popular book, and every time I've taught it, kids tell me it was their favorite class, which to me, when I thought of economics in high school, I thought, oh, but we do talk a lot about money management and even how to start a business. So when I think of money saving tips, the first thing that comes to my mind is to renew your mind. Because a lot of times the attitude in saving money can be, I just want to get something as cheaply as possible. But the Bible tells us the workman is worthy of his wages. And so I think the right attitude to have when we're talking money is to start with this. Everything I own belongs to God. Now, yes, I give him the 10%, that's the tithe, but even that rest of that 90%, that's the Lord's. And so my question becomes, Lord, how can I manage your money? How can I get the things you want me to have in a way that honors you? Because I'm a steward and I'm accountable to the Lord for how I spend my money, and I'm accountable to the Lord for the things that I accumulate. And there are many things that we need, and I believe it's the Lord's desire to bless us. He thinks that he said in his word, it says that he creates all things for us to richly enjoy. So I think when we think about teaching our kids money saving tips, the first thing we need to teach them is that you, as a Christian, everything we have belongs to God, and we're taking care of things for him. So the first thing is that when I decide that I want something, I need to tell the Lord that, hey, there's this, CD out, or there is this stereo or computer, and Lord, I would really like that. I think it would, be a blessing to me. What do you want? What do you want for me? What is your will for me? And then next, if that's his will for us to have that stereo or computer or CD. Oh, they probably don't have CD, audio album.
Right.
But
downloads.
Downloads. What is it that you like? How do you want to provide that for me? If that's your will, how do you want to provide that for me? And would you provide that for me? And that's a really key step, because I think so many Christians forget to just ask for things. And, most of the time, and the Lord, allows me to work hard, save money, and buy something. But sometimes the Lord will just give me something. And so you just never know. And you don't have because you don't ask. And then, so the first thing is just, put God in the center of your finances. And then from there, we want to understand how God usually works. And what he set up in his word is that all hard work brings a profit, and God provides through hard work. So God provides through us working hard and saving that money to buy what we need. Debt is really more of a result of the fall. And the Bible calls debt foolishness. It doesn't say it's sinful to go into debt, but definitely as a young teen, you don't ever need to go in debt. You can work hard, you can save money, and save money up for the things that you would really like to have. And again, if you're living in a way where you're a steward of the Lord's money, is it being a good steward to buy fast food every day? Or would Jesus not have you do that? Those are the kind of questions you tackle. I find when I remember that I'm a steward, I spend less money, and when I do things, I'm much more cautious in what I purchase. And so when you're thinking about working hard and saving money, many times, if you're living that way, you will actually have quite a large savings. And sometimes the Lord will have you use that savings to maybe help someone go on a mission trip or something like that. But a lot of times, if you're really living, a life with Christ at the center, you are going to end up being able to save money rather easily, because you're less likely to splurge on little things. So saving up money, of course, money saving tips. The tip number one starts with our hearts and our habits and our character. But then you actually have your eye on something like, of course, if you have a driver's license, you want a car. So then that comes to the third point is, do you want to get something that is a good investment, or do you want to just get something as quick as you can? And we do live in a culture that is very, focused on instant results. So many times when I talk to a teen, they're like, yeah, I'm going to save money. I'm going to save up $2,000 and buy a car. And I'm thinking, of course, in my head, being completely practical and living debt-free, so we buy everything with cash. Oh, a $2,000 car, you better have a really big car repair budget in your section in your budget.
Know how to fix the car, yeah, one or the other.
Yes, yes. So that is something for me that I realize that when I counsel young people, and many of them don't listen, but many of them do, I'll say, if I were in your place and I was able to save this much money each month, I would save up, I know this is crazy, but I would save up $10,000 and I would get a really nice car that would last me for 10 or 15 or even 20 years. And I know that sounds crazy, but one of the money saving tips that I've learned over the years is it's better to buy quality that will last than to hurry and buy the first thing you can afford. And it's also better to save up over a long period of time than to just get the first thing you can get. So I would rather forgo things and then get this car. So yeah, maybe I'm not going to go to a movie for 2 years, but I'm going to be able to get a really nice car that I'm not going to have to pour a ton of money in car repairs for, and I'm not going to have to, worry if it's going to get me to work or not.
Right.
So those are just, some things for me that I share with teens because teens want things instantly, and oh my goodness, this guy has a car. Well, they don't realize that he's spending every penny that he makes repairing the car,
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts, Felice?
Yeah, or going into debt. And we're also going to do another episode, actually it's episode 404, on, saving for the money saving tips for the big purchases. But one of the things that, comes to mind for me is, like as you're talking, this really is more of a philosophical mindset with like renewing your mind and then getting good habits and then understanding what the scriptures say about it too. And then also it's thinking that, if you're a teen, that you've got a job or you're doing chores around the house that are above and beyond just helping the family so that you're making, some money, and that, you can look at it as, a practicality, more so than just, I've got $10 and I'm going to spend $10 or go into debt,
right.
Because the minute you do have, some kind of job, or even if you're going to college, oh my gosh, we had to shred a bunch of credit card offers that my kids got with no job.
Yes.
They were not working, and here they're giving them these credit cards with ridiculous, interest rates. And this is how they get kids in debt. But one thing I want to say is, it's amazing how the Lord works in your life, and especially if you want to honor Him. Last summer, I really prayed, and I have some porch furniture that the kids got me years ago, and it's not the most comfy, it's more of it's wood, and it has like hard seat cushions on it, but it's nice just to sit outside, and and I've enjoyed it for years, and it's been repainted and that kind of stuff. So I was kind of praying, and I like these sectionals, and I said, Lord, I would really like to have something, and I'm going to budget, $500 for this. Well, if you've ever priced porch furniture, it mostly starts at $2,000. So
right,
you're not going to really get anything for $500, maybe the cushion. But I didn't want to just, in my mind, I just didn't want to spend, because to me that was a ridiculous amount of money for something I'm not even going to use that much, even though I'm in Florida and we use our furniture out there mostly in the winter months when it's nice and cool and it's super pretty out there. And so all year went by and all summer, and I did not find anything. And I looked and looked and looked and looked at sales and, into the summer sales. Well, this year I asked the Lord again, and I said, Lord, I still would like to find something. It was the beginning of winter after Christmas. And, and I didn't have time to look, but that was, a prayer. Well, my son-in-law called me and he said, hey, I've got a client that's just getting rid of her porch furniture. And I asked Nick, my other son, to go pick it up because Nick has trucks and trailers and he does a lot of the stuff for my son-in-law. And he said, hey, it's coming to your house first. And we're just going to put it out in our yard because we don't have a covered porch. And it's just going to get ruined, but she's giving it away. And we thought, why not? Meredith. It is the most gorgeous, heavy-duty wicker. Okay, it's brown, and that's not the colors in my lanai, but I don't care. And yes, the cushions need to be cleaned and, pressure washed, which we haven't done yet. But God gave me porch furniture.
That's
and
so
this
cool.
Furniture was definitely super sturdy and not any of the, stuff I had looked at even within, my budget. So friends, you just never know. You never know when, my son gets calls all the time about things that have been in accidents, and he can fix things. And he did buy, the $3,000 truck and was able to fix it and sell it for $6,000. So what he did was he did that for a while and then saved money to get what he wanted. So, there's car auctions you can go to, and you don't really, I always thought you had to have like a specific license, but we have an auction place near our house. And so there's so many things you can do. And what is your skill set? I mean, my son was never trained. He's just watched a lot of, YouTube videos and taught himself. And it's funny because I said to him, why don't you do this for a job? Well, he never wanted to do it for a job. It was more of a, of a hobby for him. And so, there's so many things that you can, pray to the Lord and just watch for those miracles. I really believe God wants to bless those who are honoring him, and especially Meredith, with what you laid out here, that, hard work brings profit, and
yes.
Just the things you listed are just so wonderful. So I will have those in the show notes for today's episode, Meredith, and I just, really want to give you the last word here.
Well, just a reminder that when you're thinking about saving money, have the mindset to honor the Lord and remember that everything belongs to him and you're just taking care of it. And then, really spend money for him and get his approval on things. Think of him as like the CEO and you're his assistant, and he wants to bless you. So he may want to give you things that you would not even dare to ask. And then think about quality, not just saving money. Think about getting a good buy and maybe taking longer to save up for it. And I love what your son did, because that is so innovative, and God will give you ideas of ways that you can save money and even selling stuff. So, but I think that you'll find if you really partner with the Lord that he cares about his money. He wants it spent on his kingdom. So, but he also has plenty of it. He also wants you to work hard and know the value of it. So there are just so many things. Right. It's an adventure.
But there are components that work together, and that's what I love so much about what you shared. So thank you so much, Meredith.
Thank you, Felice.
So guys, you can find the show notes for today's episode at vintagehomeschoolmoms.com, episode 403, Teaching Money Saving Tips for Kids. Thanks so much. God bless, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Vintage Homeschool Mom Show. Visit Felice at MediaAngels.com and thevintagehomeschoolmoms.com. Vintage Homeschool Moms is a production of the Ultimate Homeschool Radio Network.